All right, we're back. Let's talk about President Biden's call a little bit now. He spoke with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today about the war in Gaza. It's the first time they've been on the phone, we're told, in more than a month. This after the harsh criticism of Netanyahu last week from Senator Chuck Schumer, who called for new elections in Israel as Israel presses forward with its plans to invade Rafah. So let's bring Doug Ollivant in on this. Been on the show a number of times here in recent days because there's been a lot going on. Senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute. So good to see you again, Doug. Let me I'm going to play a clip from Jake Sullivan talking about the call in a moment. But first, just have a few notes on what they were telling us about it. How they had a call. They talked about a clear and coherent strategy in terms of defeating Hamas. What was interesting, I thought, was that the U.S. is against this going into Rafah. And apparently that was made clear. And the Israeli prime minister agreed to send a team to have a discussion about the whole thing in Washington. So your impressions about what we're hearing about this first call in over a month?
Well, we're starting to see the tensions build up, not only between the two allies, but just the kind of incoherencies in the Israeli plan. I mean, look, we are endorsing them going and removing all of Hamas. We endorse that aim, but at the same time, we don't want them to invade Rafah, and we want the civilian casualties down. Now, all three of those are good things. I'm just not sure that you can have all of them at one time. I mean, how on earth do you uproot Hamas if you don't go into Rafah? And if you do go into Rafah, how do you not have a continuing of the humanitarian catastrophe? You're kind of caught here. We have all these goals you want to accomplish, and they're mutually incompatible.
Well, that's a good way of putting it, mutually incompatible. Let me talk through a few of them, if we can, one by one. On the humanitarian issues, here's Sullivan, who, of course, is the National Security Advisor, talking about the need for there to be a plan on that front put in place in Gaza. Here's what he said today. Listen.
A military plan cannot succeed without an integrated humanitarian plan and political plan. And the president has repeatedly made the point that continuing military operations need to be connected to a clear strategic endgame. The president told the prime minister again today that we share the goal of defeating Hamas, but we just believe you need a coherent and sustainable strategy to make that happen.
Okay, so what would you say about, Doug, and whether that strategy from Israel's point of view is in place? That's the U.S. position, obviously.
Well, that's the U.S. position, and that's a hard-learned lesson from both Iraq and Afghanistan. It's really helpful to have a political plan that's tied into your military plan, or else, doing it for 6 or 7 or 20 years isn't going to get you very far. So in one way, that's hard-won wisdom, although they might wonder if we have credibility to lecture them on this point. But yeah, that's a basic truism. You absolutely need a political plan. War is politics continued by other means. If you don't know what you're doing politically, you probably ought not be in a war in the first place.
What about the ceasefire talks, hostage negotiations? Sullivan was asked and talked about that a little bit as well, and here's what he said.
We would look to build on that ceasefire into something more enduring and use the space created by a cessation of hostilities to surge humanitarian assistance at a vital moment. So far, this deal has been more elusive than we would have hoped, but we will keep pressing because we regard this as an urgent priority. As I've said before, Hamas could, of course, end this crisis tomorrow if it chose to do so.
I'll pick up on that part, Doug.
Well, could Hamas end this tomorrow? Certainly, but it's not going to. So we can just bracket that plan. That's in our bucket of things that simply aren't going to happen. Right. This gets back to this fundamental incompatibility. The administration would really like for there to be a ceasefire, which would allow humanitarian aid to flow in and would prevent further accumulation of casualties, at least from the bombs, although not necessarily from the malnutrition and other humanitarian causes. But, how do you do that? How do you have a ceasefire when Israel is dead set, with our support, on eliminating the Hamas threat once and for all? So, again, all of these are laudable aims. I don't want there to be a Hamas threat on Israel's border, but nor do I want tens and hundreds of thousands of Palestinians starving. It doesn't appear you can have both here.
And any kind of a near-term change seems unlikely, right, because of the political motivations on either side. The U.S. wants to make these points, maybe largely because of domestic political considerations, a lot of pressure on the president from people in his own party. At the same time, there's no sign that Netanyahu's even close to listening, even though, he's talking about a delegation coming here, but that's about the best we've heard.
Right. So both sides are dug in on their positions. And we can ascribe good motives to them, that Netanyahu really wants to finish off Hamas and the administration really wants to eliminate the humanitarian suffering. But we can look behind it on both sides. The Biden administration is deeply concerned about the November election and the effect that this will have on their base. And of course, Netanyahu knows that if he leaves office, he's back in court for his criminal charges. So he certainly wants to delay that day of reckoning as long as possible. So we have both policy issues, but also personal political issues at stake in this debate.
Well, at least I got on the phone for the first time in a month plus. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.